Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congressman Tom Rooney to give you an update as to what happened this week in Congress. Our economy is still feeling the strain of the recession that followed the 2007 housing crash. As we remember all too well, families lost their homes and many Americans lost their life savings. The government responded by using $700 billion in taxpayer dollars to bail out Wall Street while doing nothing for the hardworking Americans who lost everything. In the aftermath of the crisis, the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, more commonly known as Dodd-Frank, was signed into law by President Obama. Dodd-Frank includes more regulations than all other bills passed during Obama's presidency combined. And though its intention was to protect Americans from bailouts, financial fraud, and abusive banking, Dodd-Frank did the exact opposite. Dodd-Frank is a prime example of government over-regulation. We heard a lot about banks being too big to fail. The truth is, Dodd-Frank put small community banks and credit unions out of business because they didn't have the resources to navigate the burdensome regulations, essentially making them too small to succeed. Because of Dodd-Frank, another small bank is forced to close their doors every single day. Without the competition from small banks, the big banks have gotten even bigger. 77% of agricultural loans and 50% of small business loans come from community banks. So as each small bank goes under because of Dodd-Frank's impossible regulations, another farmer, another small business, or another family directly suffers the consequences. It's for these reasons that the House passed this week the Financial Choice Act, a bill that does what Dodd-Frank intended to do, but in a smarter, more efficient way that will actually work. The Financial Choice Act protects the community banks and credit unions from regulations that were never meant to apply to them. It will help small businesses and farmers gain access to capital so that they can expand, create jobs, and grow our economy. The Choice Act ends taxpayer-funded bailouts. So if a big bank fails, it will go through bankruptcy, and it will institute the toughest penalties for financial fraud in history. I know businesses in Florida's heartland have been suffering, and that's why I'm proud to support this bill that will help the small businesses that make our Florida communities thrive. This bill will give Americans more choice. It will create jobs, and it will significantly benefit our economy. Also this week, the House passed the Anti-Border Corruption Reauthorization Act, a bill which will boost national security and alleviate the shortage of Border Patrol agents along our border. The bill gives Customs and Border Protection the discretionary ability to expedite their hiring process for well-qualified applicants who have already proven themselves trustworthy in our military and in law enforcement. Our national security depends on having well-trained agents and officers on our front lines, and this bill gives Customs and Border Protection the ability to fill vacancies with qualified trained service members. And finally, this week, I met with members of the Florida Young Cattlemen Association. We discussed the importance of the upcoming Farm Bill and how their family businesses will benefit from tax reform, especially when it pertains to the harmful death tax. I will continue to work with Florida's farmers to do what I can in Washington on their behalf. And that's all I have for you this week. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this message. I hope that you and your families have a great weekend.